Hey there. This is Patrick with Dallas Hockey Hangout, coming to you after a 5-1 Stars win over the Toronto Maple Leafs at the American Airlines Center. Toronto's in a tough place, ladies and gentlemen, and it kind of makes me happy. I don't have the same disdain for them that maybe let's say the Yankees demand in the world of baseball, but I can't deny that it is kind of fun to be happy about their demise, given that they have such high expectations. And are they Canada's team? I would let any Canadians please reach out. Are they Are they Canada's team? Canada's team? So if you look at the standings, I would suggest that they are not. This with the loss, Toronto's the worst team in the Atlantic, below Buffalo, which has won, I believe, 3 straight after firing their coach. Maybe they should consider firing Berube. I had an opportunity to sit next to a couple of nice Leafs fans that were from Austin and got a chance to pick her brain about kind of where the team stood. I think, it's a little perplexing given that, you know, largely they still have a ton of skill on their team, but I think the loss of Marner certainly impacts things. And from my comprehension of everything, it sounds like that they just haven't found that lineup or those lines that really juice. I believe Matthews was, let's see, in the 5-3 loss to the Predators on Saturday. What day is this? It's technically Monday morning. I'm recording this, but yeah, just they're playing the second night of a back-to-back. So obviously there's, a grain of salt to be had for them. But yeah, and their loss to Nashville, Matthews was -3. And, it's actually John Tavares that's kind of been carrying things for the Leafs this year. So, but you know what? This isn't a Leafs podcast. This is probably how most football conversations go when they include the Dallas Cowboys. But yeah, we want to start with how should we view this team? And Dallas hasn't exactly had the best luck playing Toronto recently. Can think of a pretty gnarly overtime goal from Matthews a couple years ago that was pretty heartbreaking from a stance of how quickly the game was over. And so, yeah, it was nice to see Dallas get a lopsided win, although the 5-1 win would not really suggest how close the game was. It was pretty close. It definitely felt like one of those games that I was a little worried Dallas was letting Toronto hang around because it was 1-0 and, we'll do the recap, but the goal gets overturned for offside. Bork doesn't get his goal, and then it's 1-0 largely and pretty close for a hot minute. And thankfully Dallas gets the big goal from Steele, and that ends up being the game winner. But we'll talk about 3 stars a little later. But yeah, how should we view this team? I mean, they've won 4 straight. So I think, even when Dallas is not playing its best, like maybe they didn't play their best game against the Sharks, still won. The Kings was kind of a close game, still won that one. They dominated the Ducks. And of course, it was a really solid win. So, I mean, 4 straight wins after a couple losses to some good teams in Florida and Minnesota. So I think it's just another sign that Dallas is unfazed by the dips of, the season. Listening to Otter on the post game, he was noting that it seemed like Dallas had that he was really impressed considering the travel and schedule that Dallas has had. So, if you hear me talk about the schedule, travel, and the team's fatigue, the team is talking about it. So even, Razor and Josh, chimed in and had a perspective on that, agreed with him. So Jake was incredible. It's interesting. My initial thoughts after the game were that he was great, but they didn't need him in the third, but they wouldn't have been in that position to win the game if it wasn't for Jake. So I think that was a really quiet win, I think, for Jake. I mean, he played really well, and there's that sick save he made on Matthews' breakaway and some saves he made late on a Toronto power play in the second, and including some great pad saves. I think on Lawton, who was the least goal scorer tonight. So yeah, I mean, it easily could have been a different game. So Dallas is lucky to have such a great goaltending duo. But Otter makes 27 saves on 28 Leaf shots. They had 7 power play shots, so which the rest were a little inconsistent tonight. I thought not there were. Yeah, it's just pretty interesting how they swallow their whistles some moments, but not others. So, but yeah, we'll just do a quick recap. I always encourage people to just watch the YouTube video, and if you didn't get a chance to see it, videos are going to do better than words. But first big play of the game, Otter makes a great save on Matthews all alone. It gives him a couple different looks, forehand, backhand. He's angling his stick blade several ways, and then finally decides to go backhand, and Otter was waiting there with a glove. Flashy glove save. Electric. Very entertaining, for sure. Otter definitely knows how to add a little spice to his saves. So then you get, and see, I'll go ahead and reveal a little bit now. I had Robo as first star immediately after the game. Obviously, I'm still a little awestruck by that goal that he had. I mean, he completely just disregarded the defender. I'm pretty sure it was Morgan Riley, but yeah, just completely just disregard him. Get off me. I'm going to get the puck. And then, the angle he's coming in on Hildeby, he doesn't have a ton of room, but man, he finds it and able to elevate it, and it was such a great goal. I mean, just incredible skill, and the quote unquote knock on him right now, or maybe for Summers' career, is that he hasn't been physical, and that was as great of a power forward move as you could hope for. I mean, he's beats the defender off the puck, goes in, throws a couple moves at the goalie, and then, tucks it in, all with the defender on his back. I mean, what else could you ask for from a power forward? So, maybe we'll do this fun, maybe during the Olympic break when we're kind of maybe reviewing about how the Stars have been playing. But I would love to really debate who has the best hands on the team. I think Robo's got to be in the top 3, as evidenced from his goal scoring exploits this year, but how great he is in the shootout. I mean, he's just, man. But yeah, you get that 1-0 goal, but Toronto was dictating much of the play throughout the first period largely, and then if you looked after 40 minutes, they had almost doubled the shot. They carried much of the play, but outside of those flurries and the breakaways, I didn't feel like they were just like constantly leaning on Dallas. I think the Stars did pretty good to eliminate the rebound chances and not a ton of slot chances. And, they, kill off let's see how many, the 4 penalties they took. So including a uncharacteristic one from Miro in the first period. So yeah. And then let's see, we got those saves by Otter late in the second to keep it 1-0. That was really crucial, and it's still 1-0 throughout much of the third. And then Scott Lawton, 4th of the year, but I mean, he was, I think he made one at least in American Airlines Center 3 stars, but which, if anyone's critical of people that make those, just try and do them immediately after the game. I mean, you'd be surprised at how you might forget a storyline here or there. I just kind of kept thinking, like, I've seen Otter have games like this, and then maybe he didn't quite get the respect on the 3 stars. But yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that he deserved the first stars. Second star, just rearranging mine a little bit, I'm going to go Ben, because I thought Jamie's goal to make it 3-1 after Lawton had scored. I'm kind of mixing the recap and the 3 stars. I thought his Ben's goal after Lawton scored was really crucial. It felt like a completely different game after Lawton scored, especially in the American Airlines Center. It was very quiet. I think Dallas had a power play right before that, and they didn't really get much out of it. And you're kind of wondering, like, are they even really motivated to score? And yeah, I mean, if my memory serves me, it kind of feel like that lost a little bit momentum for them. And then Toronto gets in the game, and then all of a sudden it's 2-1. And you feel like, oh, they're just a shot away. They're just a bad bounce away. And then Bing gets his incredible tip goal off of Heiskanen blast. And man, his eye-hand coordination in front of Hildeby is just so impressive and definitely needs to be commended. And I can't wait to watch more goals like that. And I feel like Ben's just still such a major piece on this team that everyone's trying to kick him into retirement or whatever. But I mean, he's just plugging along, continues to play well and play good defensively and help mentor some of these younger players and be the physical presence while and maybe, take some of the shots while his teammates set him up. So yeah, so just incredible tip. I didn't mention the offside call earlier. I thought that was pretty interesting. I also think it's really interesting that, like, can you really go to Toronto to see if it's offside when you're playing the Maple Leafs? Like, can we get like a third party vendor here or something? Like, let's like ask like I don't know, Seattle or something, like someone far away from both teams that may not have a vested interest in this. But yeah, typically if a team is challenging for offside, then it's probably going to get overturned. I was, disappointed to see it taken off the board, but I mean, it happens. It's not like, you can hear Reeser talking on the broadcast about potentially that rule changing and that if it's not like the guy that scores, but maybe we'll do that in our off season, pod just during the Olympic break, just kind of talk through, should that really be changed and how should it, who should be allowed to be offside? I don't know. That's it. That's why I think we're gonna have to go through it because I think there's just a lot to it. So, side question: could you guys ever see an existence where there were no refs on the ice? Because obviously someone has to drop the puck, and you have to have the on the linesman. But could you ever imagine a world in which, let's say Toronto, like the headquarters was calling down and saying, "Hey, that was a penalty, you missed it," or "This is a big one. Uh, you should have called that." I don't know. I'm just like uh, always kind of trying to think of where the league is headed, and it's still kind of fascinating that they can't figure out the puck crossed the line or not. Like, put a GPS in that thing, figure it out. As soon as it crosses the line, boom, let the goal horn go on or off, depending on your phrasing. So feels like they would have figured that out by now, but we'll see. Same with like in NFL, like they just got you're able to tell if it's first down. But, meanwhile, we get Gene Steratore doing the cue card with the grin on his face. Like, man, that's an all timer. So yeah, back to hockey. Important 2 points and to finish up the 3 stars. I'm going to go with Robo. That was an incredible goal. I think Lawton made the third star in the arena, and I think Steele is listed somewhere else. But yeah, I love that goal too much from Robo. And guy's been on a tear. That's a one-man show right there and put the team on his back. And, it's just how many times have we seen Dallas play better with the lead? I mean, they're never out of a game, but I do feel like when they can get that lead that it it matches their style a little bit better. Because in my mind, I still look at Dallas as a defensive-minded team. Like they're thinking defense first, and we have so much skill that if we can just focus on defense, that the offense will take care of itself. I know that's like kind of general, and if you were to ask Stars head coach Glenn Galton, I feel like he might agree, but also that, I mean, there's probably so much going on that, you wouldn't even want to really reveal. If I was head coach, I wouldn't want to reveal my like overall strategy on if I'm thinking defense first or offense first. I think that it was clear on that late power play in the third that Dallas had after interfering with Rope Hintz that like they, were lackluster and lackadaisical. And I thought that was it sucked the energy out a little bit. So yeah, I love I love that Robo goal, and Steele's playing great. This whole team's playing great right now. I mean, really, like that's what's so fun about doing the 3 stars is that it feels like just any night, any guys can step up because I mean, we still have Miko Rantanen on this team. I mean, the stars will probably not get any love in the awards or any of that because that's just how it goes with Southern hockey teams. But you know, I was making the case for Macklin Celebrini for Hart Trophy if the Sharks make the playoffs. I mean, why not Rantanen for Hart Trophy right now? I mean, every time he's on the ice, he's the best player, and the Stars have a lot of good players on their team. So, you know, let's just give it a quick look and see where he's at on the year. So he's got, let's see here. He's got 49 points in 36 games. I mean, more than a point a game player, and to just see how he stacks up against everyone else. 49 points, it's fifth in the NHL right now. You got McDavid, who's crazy, 62, and McKinnon, 59. I mean, the Celebrini, Draisaitl, then Miko, and man, I feel like he needs to be in the Hart discussion for sure. Macklin Celebrini, Hart Trophy candidate. Mikko Rantanen, Hart Trophy candidate. Probably can make that case for Robertson. I mean, he's fourth in the league in goals with 23, just on a scorcher right now. Kind of up there with Geeky, who's also on a scorcher. So, yeah, I'm going to move on. I'm just trying to always think outside the box and stuff that is I find interesting. And right now, it's really, really interesting that Toronto is at the absolute bottom of the standings because it's not like they're a bad team. I mean, look, you can make the strong case that they were the better team through the first 40 minutes of the game, but it's a 60-minute game most of the time, unless you're the LA Kings, in which most of them are 65-minute games plus. But yeah, I mean, as it currently stands, they're bottom of the Atlantic, and they're the second worst team in the East, just barely ahead of Columbus. And then, you got the Jets, who are bad, but we know why they're bad. Nashville's bad because they have a bad roster. Chicago's bad because they're still building and Bedard's hurt. And the Kraken are inexplicably bad. I think goaltending for sure is hurt them this year. They can't score either. The lowest scoring team in the West for sure. And NHL by far, actually. And then Calgary's really, I'm talking about the West. This is the state of the East, if you guys read the description. So, yeah, back to that. Yeah, Buffalo's coming on and that they were doing bad and had to fire their coach. New Jersey is a good team, but has been without Jack Hughes. And, you look at them, they're fifth in the Metro. I think, the teams that stand out to me that are kind of surprises are Philadelphia Flyers and the Islanders and the Metro. Both of them have, I mean, the Islanders are 19, 13, and 4, and the Flyers are 17, 10, and 7. Both have 42 and 41 points respectively. Pretty good teams, and I think a lot of people had written the Bruins off, including myself early in the season. But I think headed into the season, nobody thought Boston would be good, and they're sitting with 41 points, right up there with Tampa, who I bet if people pick today would probably be. I could see being a pretty popular pick to come out of the East right now, but I don't know how you can look at the East and then turn back to the West and think that any of these teams are in the class of the Avs, the Stars, and the Wild. It's just really not even close. But that said, massive game coming up against the Wings. Really looking forward to that on Tuesday, which not sure if you guys know, but top team in the Atlantic, 21, 13, and 3. So, but stats aren't everything. They have a negative goal differential. Not huge into that because Dallas is so great about winning one score games that I don't pay a huge amount of attention to that. But I mean, they just came off back-to-back wins over the Capitals, who are a great team. They lost against Mammoth, but they beat the Islanders, and road win over the Blackhawks, convincing one. So they've won 4 out of the last 5. It's going to be a challenge. And then let's see, 7 out of their last 9 wins. Our games have been wins, so going to be a force for sure. looking forward to that. That's a little bit of a preview, but yeah, the East right now is very squished together. I think there's a lot more separation that has to happen there. So Toronto's in a world of hurt, though. I mean, again, speaking to the Toronto fans, they can't seem to find consistent lineups. You've got Wall injured, you've got Stolars injured, who, for a long time, Toronto's bugaboo was kind of like Edmonton's in that they could never get goaltending. And well, they finally get Wall and Stolars, who are, in my opinion, two pretty dang good goalies. And then they both get hurt. Like, well, you wonder why they're last in the division because they're having to play Hildeby, who's playing with the Marlies. Um, I kind of feel bad for him, but like not really. I don't know. It's like in vogue to hate on the Leafs, and the Stars have had their dark times, and like as you know they are very much like the Cowboys in that every year people probably say the Leafs are going to be good, but I mean, they do have talent. And if I was a Leafs fan, I'd be depressed as heck. I mean, that would, what other fan base besides Edmonton can you think of that will actively throw jerseys out on the ice when they're displeased? I mean, those jerseys cost a lot of money. So it's quite the statement. I'm pretty sure we saw, it might have been Edmonton, but I swear recently I felt like we saw a Toronto jersey on the ice. It might have been last year, but yeah, the fans will let them hear it. So yeah, and we'll just get into last Stars Wings preview. The Wings are obviously class of the East right now, led by DeBrincat, and those years playing against him with the Hawks, we know he can score. Kind of undersized guy, but I mean, he's got all the skill. Lucas Raymond, really like his game. And obviously Larkin is the captain, and, he's got 18 goals on the year, 34 points, almost a point per game player. Physical guy. I expect to see a pretty chippy game. I don't know if you guys remember, but, I believe it was, I'm not sure on the player 100%. I believe it might have been Ben checking Larkin that like maybe hurt Larkin's shoulder and took him out for a considerable amount of time over his career. So I think Wings fans probably remember that. Please reach out. And if you do, if you remember why that might happen, I'm sure I'll Google it after this. But yeah, I expect a pretty chippy game. And obviously, I didn't mention Patrick Kane, but I mean, these guys they've got skill. But, at least me personally, I'm evaluating their defense just to like, you look at their defensive guys and they're not guys that like blow you away with name value or skill, so to speak. They're top defensemen. You got Mo Sider, obviously, believe rookie of the year. And, he's got 27 points and 37 games for a defenseman, plus 13 on, that's a team high, plus 13. So past that, I'm not super familiar with Sandine Palika, Edvidson, and I'm familiar with Sherratt. Not super familiar with some of these other guys. So be kind of curious to see what that looks like and what their style looks like. Wish I had gotten a chance to watch more of their games leading up. It's going to be a challenge for sure. And I think that I expect a track meet. I expect a lot of skill and speed to be in this. And, last game before the break, I'm sure guys are going to be kind of leaving it all out there a little bit, potentially headed to the beach after that, or, hopefully home with their families. But do know that there's some time to get away. Be curious if some of the single guys might head to a beach or something. Hopefully we see some good social content coming out of, where some of the younger guys might have spent Christmas. Would, hate that Bishop was injured and heard he's not even walking right now. So that's a little bit of a sad note to end the pod on. But, Dallas gets a 5-1 win over Toronto, and a team they've largely kind of struggled with. You only see them 2 times a year. So, and it's also styles make fights. I feel like Toronto's traditionally had a lot of skill that matches up with Dallas well. So kind of feel bad for Matthews in the sense of obviously things aren't totally clicking for him. And I root for him in that he's, USA guy, and we want him playing well for the Olympics because let me tell you, and I'll do an Olympics preview a little later, in another one, but man, that's just gonna be so important to the game of hockey that, you know, Americans need Matthews to be playing well. They need him for these playoffs. He can't just be a passenger. He's really gotta step up. So, but yeah, we'll call it. Stars win 5-1 over the Leafs, get their fourth straight win, and improve to give you an updated. Believe it's 25-7-5, 55 points, plus 36 in the goal differential. If anyone was curious. And yeah, they roll on, play Detroit on Tuesdays. Looking forward to talking with you guys then. And if I don't catch you, have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah. Mm, yeah, hope you spend the time with your loved ones. Have a good night.